how's it going, everybody? Today we're doing the last Nomad survival class guide, and that is going to be on the Necromancer, which is the last character that you unlock, but granted, I'm pretty sure you could buy them in whatever order you want, so feel free to do that. I'm not 100% sure, though. It's been so long. But anyways, the Necromancer, really fun class to play. Definitely an interesting play style, but you could do some pretty cool things. So, the Necromancer, as the last character, has the highest SP cost for its abilities at 700, and his weapon skill is the Undying Army. Summon a skeleton warrior to fight for you for 60 seconds. Duration modifiers don't increase the time. For melee summons, projectile speed makes them move faster. So, getting increased projectile speed makes the skeletons move faster, at least for the melee ones. The other two that you get, so at level 20 you can summon skeleton archers, and at level 40 you could summon skeleton mages, and they both have projectiles, so projectile speed would actually just, impact their projectiles. For the Necromancer, as always, Nomad's gonna be pretty good. 8 to 10. I just think the rerolls are just the best. The Berserker, you can actually play the Berserker with this class, because you don't really need to worry too much about things getting close to you, but it's really random, honestly. Sometimes your characters or your summons can just despawn at the worst times, and then all of a sudden you get hit by something. So the Berserker, while playable, also not the best thing in the world, so I'll just give it a 5. Poxbringer, I don't really recommend Poxbringer for the Necromancer, because you want your characters going out there and hitting things, right? And they do, if I remember correctly, have some knockback, so you can use your summons to actually keep things away from you. So the Poxbringer, since it does the damage over time, you wouldn't get as much out of the effect. So the Poxbringer, I'm only going to give it a 3. The Voidwalker, it's really, honestly, only helpful on the Quickling, in my opinion. I don't think the Voidwalker heritage does all that much for anyone. It's nice because I guess if you're really struggling to get away from monsters, you can use Voidwalker to help you move a little bit easier and keep things away from you. But I don't really think the Voidwalker's that necessary, so I'll give Voidwalker a 3. The Summoner. Alright guys, this is the only time that I will ever go Summoner. The whole reason being, so you can have more summons. That's literally the only reason why I would go Summoner. It's not like it's a huge increase in damage or anything like that. These 5 summons kind of fill the void for your other summons if something's despawned. So it's not like amazing, but it definitely helps. I will give it a 6. And then the Merchant, I don't think, if I remember correctly, there's a limit on how many you could have spawned, right? So it just says that they last for 60 seconds. So technically speaking, double weapon skill amount might have some type of impact, but I'm not 100% sure. The bonus relics are always nice, but I feel like with the Necromancer, you really play around passives more than you do actually weapon skills. So for the first time ever, we're going to be going Summoner, and we'll go double EXP. As you can see, the cast time is a very long time, and it's not like the things spawn very quickly. But yeah, so they just go around, they touch things, it takes care of them. So for the Necromancer, the things that I find important, I think you'll always want one skill that's going to keep things off of you, as well as be alright for boss damage. And so for me, Icicle Barrage is that skill. It's very strong, so I think it's really good. The negative, in my opinion, for this is that these guys just go. I mean, they get pretty far off screen, so sometimes it gets annoying going and getting the experience, but it's not that big of a deal. But as you can see, I mean, they really just go out there and they clear things out. This kind of build, if you call it, definitely relies on you moving a lot more, but it's still pretty strong. They deal really nice damage, and it only gets better as you get the different types of spawns. So pickup range is going to be pretty strong here. I've been getting knockback because the knockback, it has an impact on them. Obviously, right now you don't get to see any of the knockback because they're just taking care of everything really quickly, but eventually we'll get to see it. So what you're really looking for is projectile speed. So projectile speed is what makes them move faster for the melee skeletons anyways. So projectile speed is a passive that you want to pick up. Another thing that I think is really fun for this one is weapon skill size. That is hilarious on these because it does make them very, very large. Another very important pickup is Spectral Sword. And obviously outside of that, another pickup is SP Regen, because this is going to be the highest SP cost for any ability in the game at a whopping 700. So SP Regen's huge. So as you can see, everyone's moving a little bit faster. And now I should start summoning the occasional skeleton. So the skeletons are, the ranger skeletons are very, very strong. We'll try and pay attention. It shoots 4 arrows, it looks like. 4 or 5? No, 3. And those 3 arrows, I believe, can be impacted by a mount +1. I'm not too sure. We'll get duplication and see if it changes anything. But they're similar to the Ratfolk Archer, where those arrows actually bounce off the side. So it's very strong. Definitely recommend it. But yeah, weapon skill size is, I think, one of the most enjoyable abilities to get while you're playing this, because it just makes the skeleton so big. SP Regen boost is fantastic for this. You can see how many skeletons I have going right now. I don't think there's a limit on how many skeletons you can have. It's just purely based off the, how often you can cast, kind of. So, like, I have, like, this is ridiculous. And they're always supposed to default back to you. So that's why you see them kind of like following me around. If they don't see any enemies, they just come back to where I'm standing. Which is nice, because it makes it to where if, you ever get swamped by a different direction, they're there. I'm trying to get another duplication so I can see if that impacts the arrows, but I'm not getting any. But yeah, as you can see, they have this build has fantastic clear. The skeletons do a ton of damage, and when you throw in the skeletons that you get with the Spectral Sword, it's insane. And so when you increase the weapon size, the skeletons, they're not like hitting them, per se. They're just like running into them, and so as they run into them, it does that damage to them. So when you have an increased size, it obviously does a lot more damage. And so one of the negatives about this class is that when you go anywhere, you lose. Well, okay, you don't lose your summons, but they take a little while to catch up to you, basically. So that's kind of a pain. I just grabbed kind of whatever. So whenever you go back and forth between like the end of a crossroad for a portal, it's always kind of not stressful, but you won't have your boys here to watch out for you. So yeah, projectile speed is a huge upgrade for the skeleton move speed. It's very, very important. And yeah, you could, I mean, you don't have to do anything other than grab experience, honestly. Alright, let's just get duplication. I'm just gonna roll for it forever. I don't care what I see. Duplication is all I need. And the game's like, oh, actually, we don't want to give you that one. Okay, here we go. Perfect. I cannot tell how many arrows they're shooting. I don't think it impacted anything. And yeah, there's the boss. I didn't even notice that the boss had spawned. That's how quickly it died. Wow, there's all my Great Divider stuff. But yeah, as you can see, the Necromancer's pretty freaking pretty OP. It's pretty strong, and you don't even have to actually get any other weapon skills. The only reason I got Icicle Barrage is so that if I'm ever in a situation like when I went to get that portal, for example, I have something to clear out what's in front of me. It's because as long as you can survive for about, like, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, which isn't super difficult in this game, you'll have enough time to summon the additional skeletons. And I didn't even have SP regen past like level 4, I don't think. So if you max out SP regen and then you throw in Spectral Sword, and maybe you get Spectral Sword to level 10, I don't honestly think you'd ever have to move. You could probably go AFK, you go make yourself lunch, you go to the store, you come back, it's gonna say victory. The only the only instance I can think you lose is if you get really unlucky with the laser beam from death. But other than that, I don't see any issues. So Necromancer, it's definitely a 10. It's such a strong build that requires almost no thinking. So if you're into that, you know, brain empty type stuff, this is definitely the build for you. It's so strong. It looks really cool. Any summoning type build outside of the summoner heritage, which is bad, any like summoner class type thing, I'm generally pretty drawn to also. So getting able to play a summoner is always fun. It's nice, it's enjoyable. I think they're very strong normally in most games, so I like it a lot. So yeah, give it a 10. If you guys like the build, definitely let me know down below. If you guys have any ideas or things that you do when you play the Necromancer, definitely let me know. It's always interesting to see what other people do, because some people think of some crazy stuff. But other than that, that's going to end the class build guides. So if you guys have any other ideas for guides that you want for this game in particular, let me know, because, you know, outside of weapon skills and, you know, their relics and what they do, as well as what classes, the only other thing I can think of is like just kind of map specific guides, but I don't think that's the most important thing in the world, so I'm not sure if I'll make those. But as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for all the subs, thanks for the views, and I will catch you guys on the next one.